another one. Um, this one's gonna be real quick. I know it's kind of late or early. It's 2:05 here. It's so funny because I was just starting this video, and as I look down, I look back up. My screen was black. My screen was black, and so that was hilarious. I thought I started the video, but I actually didn't. So now we're gonna get started. I was just saying that I'm not really sure why I'm not asleep. Um, but as I was about to lay back, something guided me to pick this Bible up. And I have several different Bibles. This particular one that I have in my car, I actually have another really big one in my trunk. That's not a Jehovah's one, but this particular one that I have in the inside of my car, that's convenient for me to just grab when I feel like I want to or I need to. It's a Jehovah's Witness Bible. I myself am not and have never been a Jehovah's Witness, but the Bible is the Bible. You know, they all have pretty much say the same thing, just different wordings. And so, uh, yeah, anyway, I was guided to pick this Bible up. Like always, what I do is I ask the Holy Spirit, I ask God to lead me to wherever He wants me to read. And I just kind of pick through and just find a page wherever I'm guided to. And this time I was guided to the book of Isaiah. I'm going to show y'all what I was looking at. And so this is what popped up. This is not like this part of the Bible. This part is like a preview almost. It tells you where you can go to when you want to read about certain things. And so I picked this up and I opened it and I was reading something here. I'm going to find out where I was reading again. 57 here. It says, righteous one and loyal ones perish. Israel's spiritual prostitution exposed. And that's what caught my eye. Israel's spiritual prostitution exposed. And so in my mind, like, let me go for whatever reason, because like I said, this right here is nothing to read. It just gives you an overview. And so when I read Israel's spiritual prostitution exposed, I'm like, okay, maybe this is where I should go. 313 is what it says. That's actually my daughter's birthday. So in my mind, I'm thinking this is where I should go. And so as I flipped the pages, the first thing I seen was 10:10, Isaiah 10:10. And so that's actually the first place I started reading instead of 313. However, I looked over here, and instead of starting at 10:10, the first thing I did is look down. So as you can see, right here on the corner, it says Israel's 10:10. But the first thing I looked at was what was underneath here right here, which says Israel's light will become a fire and his Holy One a flame. It will blaze up and consume his weeds and the thorn bushes in one day. And so it got me to thinking about that fire that's going on right now in California. And so as I read a little bit more, I'm like, okay, let me start over here at 10:10. And so I'm not sure right now if I want to start there or this 313, because after I read 10:10, I actually looked back at 313. So I'm going to read it to y'all how I kind of read it to myself. After I read 17, and I'm at chapter 10, verse 17, I went back to 10:10, which is what caught my eye. 10 in tarot is like the ending and the beginning. 10 is the ending of something, which is also the beginning of something else. When one thing ends, another thing begins. And so I immediately, it caught my eye because I'm thinking, okay, 10:10, something is ending and something is beginning. And for me to look down and see something about a fire, again, It's indicative of something ending and something beginning. 10:10 says, my hand has seized the kingdoms of the worthless gods, whose graven images were more than those of Jerusalem and the Samaria. It's just saying he's came down and conquered, kind of taken over the kingdoms of who the people were over, the gods who were over a certain kingdom that he wasn't being worshipped in. And so it says, will I not also do to Jerusalem and her idols, just as I have done to Samaria and to her worthless gods? When Jehovah finishes all his works on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, he will punish the kings of Assyria for his insolent heart and his proud, arrogant gaze. For he says, I will do this by the strength of my hand and with my wisdom, for I am wise. I will remove the boundaries of people. I will pillage their treasures, and I will subdue the inhabitants of like a mighty one. Like a man reaching into a nest, my hand will seize the resources of peoples, and like one gathering abandoned eggs, I will gather the whole earth. No one will flutter with his wings or open his mouth or chirp. Will the axe exalt itself over the one who chops with it? Will the saw exalt itself over the one who saws with it? Could a staff wave the one who lifts it? Or could a rod lift up the one who is not made of wood? Therefore, the true Lord Jehovah of armies will inflict emaciation on his fat ones, and beneath his glory he will kindle a blazing fire. Israel's light will become a fire, and his Holy One flame, and his Holy One a flame. It will blaze up and consume his weeds and his thorn bushes in one day. He will utterly do away with the glory of his forest and his orchard. It will be as when a sick man wastes away. The rest of the trees and the forest will be so few that a boy could list them. In that day, those remaining of Israel and the survivors of the house of Jacob will no longer support themselves on the one who struck them, but they will support themselves on Jehovah, the Holy One of Israel, with faithfulness. Only a remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty God. For though your people, O Israel, are as the grains of sand of the sea, only a remnant will return. So as many people as it is, only a few of them will return, because they were affected by this fire that was placed upon them. And it says, and justice will engulf them. So this is justice happening with this fire. Yes, the extermination decided on by the sovereign Lord, Jehovah of armies, will be carried out in the entire land. And so I stopped reading there, and then I was called to look back at 3:13, which I was about to originally read, but somehow I flipped the book open and came to 10:10 first. So I flipped back over here to 3:13, and it says, make sure this is the right one, and it's not the right one. I'm glad I looked. 3:13 says, Jehovah is taking back his position to accuse. He is standing up to pass sentences on people. Jehovah will enter into the judgment with the elders and the princes of his people. You have burned down the vineyard, and what you have stolen from the poor is in your house. So this is people pretty much tearing down the poor. Remember when I read back over here, starting at chapter 10:10, he was making mention that one thing wouldn't work without the other. But people here are arrogant and they're proud. Those fat ones, those ones who have much more than other people. And so again, I'm going to go back over here. Jehovah is taking in his position to accuse. He is standing up to pass the sentence on peoples. Jehovah will enter into the judgment with the elders and the princes of his people. You have burned down the vineyard, and what you have stolen from the poor is in your house. How dare you crush my people and grind their faces, the faces of the poor in the dirt, declares the sovereign Lord, Jehovah of the armies. Jehovah says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, walking with their heads high, flirting with their eyes, and skipping along, making tinkling sound with their anklets. Jehovah will also strike the head of the daughters of Zion with scabs, and therefore will make their forehead bare. In that day, Jehovah will take away the beauty of their bangles, the headbands and their crescent shaped ornaments, the earrings, the bracelets, the veils, the headdresses, the ankle chains, and the breastbands, the perfume receptacles and the charms, the finger rings and the nose rings, the ceremonial robes and the overtunics, the cloaks and the purses, the hand mirrors and the linen garments, the turbans and the veils. Instead of balsam oil, there will be a rotten smell. Instead of a belt, a rope. Instead of a beautiful hairstyle, baldness. Instead of a rich garment, a garment of sackcloth, and a brand mark instead of beauty. By the sword your men will fall, and your mighty men in battle. Her interests will mourn and grieve, and she will sit on the ground desolate. Again, me reading that, y'all, it immediately makes me think of what's going on right now. It says, for wickedness burns like a fire, consuming thorn bushes and weeds. It's something wicked that's being taken away. Something from people whom are looked at to be arrogant people here. People who are looked at to have turned their nose down on the poor somehow. People that have helped cause the poor to be poor. People who have stolen from the poor. And whatever it is they have is just being burned down. That's what's going on in this book right here when I open it up. And it's really given that's what's going on right now. That may very well be what's going on, what's taking place right now. With so many popular, kind of prominent places are being burned down in California. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I felt the need to come on here and say this. I just know it's not a coincidence that I always ask to be guided to what I need to read anyway. But for me to read this, and it's relevant to exactly what's going on right now. And I started by looking at this Isaiah 10:10 right here. Endings. Something is being burned down. Something is being brought to an end. Something is closing. People have been too arrogant. People have been worshiping idols. People have been worshiping gods that they should not be worshiping. And this is like vengeance coming down on people. People who have for so long looked at themselves as if they were too high and mighty. People who look down on the poor, people who caused the poor to be poor, people who stole from the poor, people who talked about the poor here. A lot is about to be taken. It's kind of giving me the start of the first being last and the last being first, because this is like I'm going to level the playing field here by taking everything that you think makes you better than other people. I'm going to put you on the same level as them. I'm going to have you sitting desolate. I'm going to have you go without all of these nice things, all of these material things that you are used to having by doing what you're doing, worshiping other gods and looking down on the poor while you're stealing from the poor, while you're causing the poor to be poor, while you're tearing other people down and lifting yourself up, while you're arrogant and proud about what it is that you're doing. So yeah, there's a reason that these I don't want to just say celebrity, because it's not just the celebrities, but that this particular place look at as being such a high class place is being torn down. It's being burned down. There is a reason for this. So anyway, that's all, y'all. I was led to read this, and just the significance of it in comparison to what's happening today just led me to say what I was being called to read. So maybe somebody out there needs to read this for themselves. Again, it's Isaiah 10:10 and 3:13. And so that's all I came on here for. No cards today. Looking at my comments, yeah. Ignorance. I always find odd that people have time to come on somebody's page when they go live and say ignorant stuff. It's just weird to me. But, you know, maybe people have nothing else better to do. But for those, again, who can look down on certain people, who can find people just to talk trash, you know, again, there's a place for you too. There is a place for you too. So meanwhile, these rich, arrogant people are being brought down. If you want one of them, I'm sure the poor, arrogant people will be brought down as well at certain points. So I would be very careful if I was you. So anyway, that's what I have, y'all. I'm going to get up out of here.